Hello everyone. Today I would like to talk about my code. So it is a robot simulation on the moon. So I will be executing the code just beforehand, and then I'll be explaining each and every line of the code. So let's run the command .net .net run, and it will be printing the moon map of the moon. So here I have set it to be the size 10, 10. It is done with the help of an array. Now the robot needs to be placed. So it is asking me for the direction. Let's go with north. And it is asking for the x coordinate. It needs to be a value from 0 to 10. Let's go with 0, and same for the y. Let's go with 0. Let's print it, whether it has actually placed the robot or not. So it has given me the option. Number one is move the robot. Second is print the map, and third is rotate the robot, and fourth is exit. I don't want to exit the code just now, so let's go with print, whether it has actually placed the robot or not. So let's go with 2, and as you can see, it has actually placed the robot. So let's move the robot. But think of it, it is at the topmost corner. It will be going outside the map. What I mean by that is, what move command actually does is, I have created a function move. So it is facing the north, and it is at the topmost corner. So whatever direction the robot is facing, it will move a step ahead to the same direction. So it will be moving outside of the map. So I have done an exceptional handling. So let's run the code and how it deals with it. So one, and it says move out of the ground, which I told you. Let's print it where the robot is. So the robot seems to be still at that particular position. It doesn't take the command, which it can't execute. So it kept the robot at that particular position, whatever it was earlier. Then let's rotate it. So I could either rotate it to two different directions, whether it could be left or it could be right. So if I rotate it to the left direction and then I ask it to move, it still can't move because it is at the edge of the map. So let's go with the right direction and then try to move it so I can execute all the command and demonstrate it. So let's go with the third, and let's go with the right direction, and let's print it, whether it has actually rotated or not. So it is facing, earlier it was facing north and now it is facing east. Now let's go with the move, whether it actually moves it or not. Let's print it. So as you can see, it has moved towards the east direction. Now, what else I could do? I could execute the program. Okay. Now let's talk about the code and how I've done the execution of it. I have created this class called map of the moon. It deals with the array called map, and which has a data type string, because I wanted a map. I wanted to see a map, so I've given it each coordinate its own 0 to display the map. And I have given the size of this matrix to be 10, and then I have given the direction. Then I have this map of the moon function, which actually helps me, gives the value to each coordinate, sets the value of each coordinates to 0. So the outer loop, I have used for loop to do that. So the outer for loop deals with the iteration of each rows, and the inner for loop deals with the iteration of each column. Then I have this print. So I have set the coordinates and given them value 0, but I need to see it. So the print does that role, and it uses the same for loop, talking about the iteration in rows and iteration in columns. Then I have this direction. So it takes the original value of the x and y axis, and then it asks what kind of direction you are talking about. So if you're asking north, then it will place a robot. It will place a robot like this, and if you're asking south, it will place the robot like this and all. Then if you're asking if you wanted to rotate the robot, rotate function. So the direction function is one of the most important, because it is actually being used inside the rotate the robot and in the move. So the rotate the robot takes the parameter x and y. So the x, which means the rows, and the y means the columns. And whether, so if I use a say left command, it has to deal like what was the earlier direction, whether it was north, whether it was east, whether it was south, whether it was west. So it has to deal with four different types of commands. So I have created I have used four different if and elif commands for that, and then I have done the same for the write command to deal with all different scenarios. And then I have used the argument exception, whether someone writes something rather than left and right. Then I have this place the robot. It is the most important because without this, nothing will be working. So firstly, place the robot is the thing that executes, the function that executes. It takes the direction, it takes the coordinates, and it takes the direction, the parameters. So if whether the user give a wrong parameter to it, it deals with it with saying invalid coordinates. It will again ask you for the direction, for the coordinates and the direction. Then I have moved the robot. So whatever the initial, it stores the whether the initial value of the coordinates were, stores those values inside this new variable, and then it has to deal with all the direction that the user is asking to move towards to. So if the user is asking if the robot was originally facing north and it is asking to move, then it means just a second. So if it is asking to move, so it will be moving upward, which means talking about the x means number of rows. So the rows are reducing. So moving towards the direction would be reduced in the x. And same goes moving to the south direction would be the increase in x, increase in number of rows. And moving towards the east direction would be the increase in number of columns, moving towards the column. And same goes for the left. Moving towards the west would be reducing the number of columns. And all those exceptional handling are dealt here, whether it can actually move or it is out of the bound. And the invalid, whether the user, all those invalid coordinates are dealt here. So where the coordinates needs to be from 0 to 10 for both x and y. Then I have this program. It tells me like, it gives me the earlier, so I need a robot to be placed somewhere. So I've given the original coordinates before even placing the robots to be -1 and -y. Then I have done this to-do list because I want to again and again ask for the perfect coordinates. Perfect coordinates means valid coordinates for my robot. And then after that, I'll be displacing the menu to the user. So this is the code, and thanks for watching the video.